I would like to start lying down this morning, and make sure you have all props available: blocks, balls, straps, a blanket if you want. Not 100% sure what exactly I'm going to use, although I do have a general idea of the practice today. And so notice if you'd like a blanket underneath your head as you lie back. Something to support as we come in and center to begin practice today. Lengthening the spine out along the floor, knees bent. So noticing your feet placement, and notice if you can just allow the knees to fall together softly. Place your palms on your belly, let the shoulders softly drop back. Begin with simple belly breathing, allowing it to rise and fall with the breath. And take a moment to arrive on your mat by simply paying attention to the belly rising and falling. Today's practice is going to be about balance. And oftentimes we think of balancing, we immediately go to the idea of a balancing pose, like tree pose. And the bigger picture of balance is looking at our lives. And so how in balance is our lives, or out of balance, and just to reflect. So for example, we have properties to take care of, and do you find balance between the work of caring for the property and also appreciating or being in gratitude or simply noticing the effort you've put in? Or is it always work? Do we create balance in our lives between the effort we put in and the ease? And that's Hatha Yoga, that union of opposites. So even here on our mats, we want to create balance between the effort we put into the practice and the idea of ease. The movement, the constant doing in our lives, and allowing ourselves to be in non-doing, to be in rest. Balance between the times we spend alone and the times we engage with others. The time we spend learning and growing and constantly seeking and searching, and do we also offer the opportunity to just allow ourselves to be where we are? Are we always striving, or can we drop into peace in the moment? My intention this morning for practice is to create a practice around that idea of balance, where it's a well-rounded practice. There's movement and there's stillness. There'll be some effort around strength work and some ease and stretching. There'll be moments of stillness, moments of movement. Seated, prone, supine, standing, twists, back bends, forward bends. So a little bit of everything creating that balance. And We don't always have balance within a single day. That's life. Can we create balance in a week? So if we look at our week as a whole, creating balance within those 7 days. Let's go ahead and drop inwardly and notice the layers of our being and whether there's balance there. So noticing the physical body from head to toe. So notice those areas that aren't speaking to you, that are feeling at ease. And noticing those places in the body that need your attention today, your care and nourishment. Create balance with your breath so that the inhale and exhale are the same length. How in balance do your thoughts feel or your emotions today? How in balance do you feel or connected to your wisdom, your intuition, your belief systems? Are there moments off your mat that you remember your essence of bliss and peace? Or is it forgotten until there's moments on your mat only? Are there ways you could bring in that remembering in your daily life? So although this practice is quite physical, we have ways to create that balance and bring in the essence of all those layers. So we don't neglect any one of them. Maintain that even breath. Maybe about an 80 to an 85% of capacity. You can keep your palms on your belly if you'd like to. We're going to bring our feet hip width apart, knees hip width apart, and find our way into our hip sliders or hikers. So begin the practice with some very gentle invitation for the body to come into this today on the mat, noticing things along the way. So as we invite the body here, continue to notice what's showing up in all those layers. And then we'll bring our hips to center and find our way into our hip pointers. Breath is flowing, finding an evenness, a balance between the inhale and the exhale. And a continued balance between the effort and the ease throughout the practice. And then go ahead and take a moment to alternate between these two. And then we'll find our way to neutral or center here and come into pelvic tilt. So tucking the tailbone under and reverse that. Posterior tilt, anterior tilt, low back care. Notice the difference in doing this movement with ease, or is there a lot of effort? Are you pressing into your feet, trying to make this movement as big as you can, or relax through the feet and generate this more just through the pelvic movement in your core? And then we'll go ahead and draw the knees into the chest, rounding the low back even more. Giving yourself a little hug, just kind of check in with the low back, notice any tightness. And then we'll go ahead into our Apanasana. Inhale, arm lengths away. And exhale towards you, even breathing. We're still just softly and gently inviting the body into the practice. We're not forcing anything. And then we'll take this into knee circles. Just nice massage all the way across the top of the pelvis, down across the tailbone, and back up again. Just one direction for now. You can even bring into mind the pelvic bowl. We've all seen a skeleton and what that looks like, and just picture that in your own body and as you're rolling around. And then switch directions, circle the other way. Maintain that even, balanced breath. And then let's go ahead, place the feet into the floor, bring them as wide as your mat. We'll find our way into our double knee drop. Exhaling, release the knees to one side. Check this side out, maybe even just take a few breaths. Legs become heavy. And then we only start the movement through the top knee. So the legs open up really wide, and then eventually the bottom knee starts to teeter off the floor, and then they'll release to the other side. Take a breath, feel this side, notice what may be different. And then when you're ready, we'll just move back and forth. Inhale, open wide. Exhale, release the knees. Inhale, open wide, and exhale, release. Back and forth with the breath. And if you'd like to get the head involved, just begin to rotate it the opposite direction the knees come in. Legs open wide, gaze is up to the ceiling, and then rotate to the opposite side. You've gone equally side to side. Bring the knees back up to center. Feet hip width apart. Extend the left leg out along the floor. Hug the right knee in. Take a couple of breaths here. Knees, knee to chest, right knee to chest. It's also called wind relieving pose. It can be really nice to release gas if you're ever feeling that. It's nice for the digestive system. So we're going to move back and forth into a little bit of a twist here. I'm going to invite you to keep this fairly moderate. We're still warming up. On the exhale, the knee opens wide to the right as you extend your left arm. The inhale brings the knee back to center. Bring your left hand to the knee, extend the right. And then exhale across the body, just part way. You don't have to find your maximum edge here. And then inhale back to center. Right hand to the knee, open wide. Exhale, extend the left arm. And then switch. Just inhale back to center and switch back and forth. And again, you can get the head involved if you'd like, rotating it the opposite direction you're taking the knee. So welcome to keep that still. So with the intention of balance, your choices today want to maintain a sense of balance for you, whatever that is for you. Connected to your idea of balance, and allow your choices to align with that. Next time you come out of the twist, hug that right knee in, hugging in all the way close to like you're trying to take the kneecap and tuck it into your armpit. So it's not going really wide, but it's not directly into the chest either. And we can feel a really nice stretch through the groin and the inner thigh. Left leg is still active, foot flexed. Take 3 breaths here. And then at the completion of those breaths, we'll go ahead and switch sides. So extending the right leg out along the floor, flex the foot, keep that leg fairly active, left leg hugs in. Take a breath or 2 here, feel this side. Notice what's going on this side of the body. And then we'll find that same movement here. Extend the right arm, left knee opens wide to the left. Exhaling. Inhale back to center, take it in your right hand, extend the left, and exhale across the body, just part way. Inhale back to center, and exhale wide. Found your rhythm here. Then decide whether you'd like to also get the head involved, opposite direction of the knee. And next time you move out of the twist, knee to chest, and try to tuck that knee right into the armpit. So it's halfway between chest and going out wide approximately. And just feel that stretch. I notice it in the groin and inner thigh. Maybe you notice it somewhere different. Breathe into that. We'll bring that back to center. Extend that left leg along the floor next to the right. Just kind of shake that out a little bit. Maybe reach overhead. We're going to go ahead. If you do have your head on a blanket, go ahead and remove that off to the side. Bend the knees. And we'll bring our feet hip width apart. Heels fairly close to the buttocks. Feel as if your feet are directly underneath the knees, right? Not out away from you. We want to bring them in a little closer if your knees will allow. And we're going to do our 3-part moving bridge. Okay, so just connecting with our breath. On an inhale, press into the feet, roll the spine up off the floor, and bring the arms all the way up overhead to the floor if possible. Leave them wherever they're reaching, and then exhale and roll the spine back down. Feel that nice stretch through the side body, the chest, the arms, and then we'll inhale, roll the spine back up, hips lift, and exhale, everything comes back down together. Inhale, lift the hips, arms overhead. Head stays neutral, so make sure the chin is away from the chest. And leave the arms there as you lower the hips, exhaling. Inhale the hips back up. And exhale everything down. So just find your own pace with this. What creates balance for you? Modify or shift anything you need to find that. The next time you find your way to our starting point with your arms by your side, go ahead and pause there and just notice the effects of the practice so far. Feel the echo of the practice. And then we'll go ahead and roll to one side and find our way to hands and knees. We're going to continue with a little bit of our flow before we move into some of the other aspects of the practice. We want to continue to create a little bit more heat in the body. Starting with our cat-cow, so the movement in the spine is now going to be a little larger. Exhaling round and inhaling open. Exhaling and inhaling with your cat-cow, full length of the spine. And then we'll take this into our Chakravarkasana. So on the next exhale, the tailbone reaches towards the heels. And we inhale back to hands and knees. Engage slightly with the core. Lead with the heart and your breath as you exhale back. And inhale, rise up. And when you feel ready, we'll find our first down dog this morning. And it's always nice to maybe pause there and just kind of walk it out a little bit. Just pedaling the feet, bend the knees, shift through the hips, move through the spine. And when you feel complete with that, lowering the knees, inhale. Exhale, child's. And then we're just going to move right into our mini flow. So continuing that idea of warming up, creating some heat. Inhale to the knees and exhale, down dog. Inhale to the knees and exhale, child's. Again, find your own pace with this for several rounds, keeping in mind the intention of the practice of creating and finding balance or maintaining balance. What does that feel like to you? What are the choices you want to make for yourself this morning to find that or maintain that if you already have it? The next time you find your way into a child's pose, let's come together there. Pause for a moment. And again, feel the echo of the practice and your choices. Feel into what the idea of balance is for you. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically, all those layers of our being. And we'll go ahead and come on up and find down dog. We're going to come into a little strength here. And so you're going to have some options, and I'm going to show you all your options. First option, probably one of the more advanced options, is coming into full plank pose. The next option is lowering the knees. And the closer the knees are underneath you, the gentler this is. So decide, the farther back the knees go, you can start to challenge yourself a little bit more. The other option, if your wrists don't like that very well, is to come onto the forearms. Knees can be in the floor or off the floor. Pay attention to what's going on in the shoulders. Let's take 3 breaths, 3 more breaths here. And after those 3 breaths, find your way into down dog from your version of a plank pose this morning. Press back, arms are working. Maybe walk that out a little bit, and then come to the knees and draw back into a child's pose. And just let go and surrender here for just a moment. Breathe into the back body. Let the arms relax. Feel the echo of your choice that you made there. And then hands and knees, inhale. We're going to come into it one more time. So exhale into down dog. And you decide what version of a plank you'd like to be in here. 5 to 6 breaths if you can. You can come out of it sooner if you need to. Modify, skip it all together if that creates balance in your practice this morning. After 5, 6 breaths, knees to the floor, choose a child's pose or down dog. Where would you like to go? Take a few breaths there. Maybe a little bit of both is fine too. And then let's find a low lunge. Bring the right foot up to your mat, in front of your mat. If you'd like to use blocks here, you certainly can. Place them on either side of the mat. Okay, and then from here, let's do our lunge rock. So we get an opportunity to go into the hip flexor and the hamstring. Just kind of noticing how each of those feel. Left hip flexor, right hamstring, calf. And before we come into much of the stretch here, I'd like to find a little bit of the strength. So we're going to come on up, bring your hands to your thigh. And then we're going to isometrically press down into the right foot and try to pull the heel back, and then simultaneously bring that left knee forward. So you feel this lift occur. Okay, so I'm really activating my right glute and hamstring here. So even if you choose to stay in a low lunge, there's a lot of work going on here, so we don't have to even come into the high lunge. You're welcome to if that is what you'd like to this morning. For now, low lunge, okay? Left toes curled under is, I find, easier on the knee than flat, but you can choose that also. Okay, so just checking little things like that out. And then inhaling, bring the arms overhead. Very traditional. You know, the other option is to your heart. Opening, goalpost arms I like to call them. Or maybe interlacing. So all of these options either create balance or not within us, whatever that feels like to you. Take 3 to 4 more breaths here. On your exhale, fold forward. You can either place your hands on the floor or you can place them behind you. We're just leaning forward into that front leg, putting some weight into the thigh, okay, and feeling that. You can open the heart by interlacing the fingers. One more breath here so that we're fatiguing that front leg. And then bring in the palms to your mat and press back into down dog. Shake that out, walk it out. And then come to the knees. Exhale, child's. Pause and feel the practice. Feel the low lunge on that side. Inhale back to knees, and let's bring our left foot forward. Low lunge on the other side. We'll begin with our rock. Yeah. So just inhaling and exhaling as we draw back. Back and forth. We're just here to notice the right hip flexor, left hamstring, not holding in a stretch at this time. Communicating with them that we're getting in there. But starting off very gently. It's just kind of a whisper or a gentle invitation. And the next time we come forward, lift the upper body, bring your hands to your right thigh. Press into, actively press down into that left foot and try to pull the heel back, right knee forward. Feel the whole center of your being lift when you get that. And then this also really ignites that left glute and hamstring. And then take a few breaths here and then decide how you would like to express your pose with the upper body. Doesn't have to be the same as the other side. Keep the breath steady and balanced, even. And then we're going to lean forward into that left thigh. Maybe the arms reach behind you. If you need, you're feeling fatigued, balance may mean placing the hands on the floor for you. That's okay. And just take 3 more breaths here. Weighting into that front leg, just fatiguing it a bit more. And then we'll release release, mindfully place the hands in the front of your mat, press back and down dog, walk that out. And then finding a child's pose. Maybe this one would feel nice to take a wide knee child's pose. That's fine too. Drop in between the thighs. Breathe and just feel. Find your way back to hands and knees, inhaling. Right foot forward. All right, left toes curled under. We're going to come up and anchor that left heel into the floor. All right, so we're setting ourselves up for warrior two. All right, so from here you might lean into the right thigh to come up, but you really use your core. And then bring yourself up to standing. So how deeply you bend into this front knee is up to you, how wide your feet are, right? So how much we want to challenge ourselves in this pose can really vary from person to person. And the only thing I'm going to ask you to look at is that knee is aligned over the ankle, not out in front of the toes, not dropping in because you've collapsed into that inner foot. So just keep that alignment there. Right, the spine stays tall in our warrior two. We want to stay upright instead of leaning. So we always work from the foundation up, core is engaged, spine elongated, arms float up shoulder height, and then shift the gaze out of the right fingertips. Use your breath to help you find some ease in this pose. The gaze is soft, toes are relaxed. What helps you find a balance between the effort and the ease? Virabhadrasana 2. Look where you're going. Meeting life's challenges with grace, tenacity, resilience, belief in yourself. From here, go ahead and straighten the front leg. Reach forward with the right fingertips and let's come into our triangle pose. So the back of the right hand might come by the knee or down lower. It might reach a block if you're using them. Press the back hand into the shin or wherever it's landing, whether that's the ankle, the shin, or up by the knee. Press the back of that right hand into that shin as it presses back. That helps to open the heart. And the gaze shifts up to the left fingertips if you feel that enables you to experience balance, literally and figuratively. If it doesn't, what does? So looking straight ahead, is it looking down at the floor? Breath is steady, that helps you find balance. Keeping your thoughts in the present moment. Allowing yourself to listen to and be guided by that inner voice, inner teacher. Use your core, reach back up through the left fingertips to find your way to standing and into a straddle. So I'm just rotating my toes so my feet are parallel with one another. You can shift your stance if you want to be a little wider, or if you feel too wide, you can narrow that up a little bit. If you have a block or want to use a block, you can place that out in front of you this morning. I haven't been using mine, but you're welcome to Place that right in front. Just bend the knees to get there. Put the block down in front of you and come back up. Okay, take your time. So some of balance is also a willingness within ourselves to do what's necessary in our practice to take care of us. All right, so take that time. Hands to your hips. We're folding at the hip flexor, not the waist. Right, so tailbone starts to move back as the heart reaches forward. Keep the spine long, core is nice and strong as we fold forward, finding our straddle. And that might be a block right here, or it might be all the way to the floor. Hands are out in front of you to begin, shoulder width apart, directly underneath the shoulders. If you're using a block, then you just place them on the block closer together. That's okay. Tailbone reaches back, heart forward, core engaged, dropping into the inner thighs, and then just working your way down here. So now we're going to stretch, more of a stretch. Right, and we're going to slowly bring ourselves, walking the hands, take your block with you if you want to, bringing them towards the center. That may not be in your practice. Balance for you may be staying right where we began. Okay? So really go within, be honest with yourself on what creates balance in your practice this morning. For those of you who have the tendency to lock your joints, please micro bend the knees. And just working our way into our forward fold today. Your forward fold. Breath is steady. Come back up. If you've really lowered deeply, come back up to the hands or the block. Come back where we started. I am going to grab a block on this one. We're going to come into a twist here. So we're going to shift to the right. If you're using a block, bring it with you. Shift everything to the right. The block will be just in front of the right foot, or maybe to the inner edge of it, and through here or out in front of the toes. So you're going to find your just right place. Right? And I like to have my block, at least today I do, about a foot out in front of that foot. It's creating a little bit more space in my spine today. So then the left hand is either in the floor of the block, right hand to your hip, spine extended, core strong, and just let the hips move with you as you rotate open to the right. Now you can keep your right hand on your hip. That's where mine's going to stay today. Or you can extend that right arm up to the ceiling. Decide what is creating that idea, that feeling of balance for you. Heart is open. You can shift the gaze up to the ceiling if that feels okay in your neck. Bend into that right knee if you need to a little bit. Right, so modifying, making those adjustments are about balance, about listening within as to what's serving you. And then slowly unwind. If you're using the block, bring it with you. We're going to walk all the way to the left. Find the twist on the other side. It could be a setup that's a little bit different according to what you're feeling on this side. Right hand's in the floor of the block, left hand to your hip. Extend the spine, engage the core, shift the hips with you as you rotate to the left. Breathe here. Decide whether you want to extend that left arm or not. Heart is open. Maybe the gaze shifts up to the ceiling. The spaciousness between that right shoulder and the ear. And exhale, unwind. Let's move the block off to the side. Bend the knees. Hands to your hips and press down through the feet to come up. Left toes now rotate to what was your back of your mat. And we're going to find our warrior two on the other side. Okay, so what adjustments do you want to make in your feet? Slowly bend into that left knee. See how this is feeling on this side. Don't assume it's going to be the same as the other side. Knee tracks over the ankle. What adjustments do you want to make in your foundation, if any? Spine stays tall, core engaged, really elongating. Arms float up shoulder height. Take the gaze out the left fingertips. And breathe here. Go ahead and slowly straighten that front leg. Reach forward with the left fingertips. Keep elongating that left side body as we bring the back of the left hand somewhere along that left leg. Right arm up. No locking of the knees, please. Press the back of the hand into that left leg. Open the heart. Shift the gaze up to the right fingertip. If that creates balance, that feels safe to you. Otherwise, look straight ahead or down to the floor. And breathe. Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Use the core and reach through the right fingertips to find your way back up to standing into a straddle, feet parallel. Release the arms. Heel toe, just kind of bring the feet together. You might find your way towards the center of your mat. You can shift if you want to. I'd like to do a balance pose here. And we're going to come into our tree pose again. And this time I'm going to give you the option of a block. So it's just kind of a nice way to do this. Place the block to the inner edge of your left foot. We're going to bounce on the left side first, and then step your right foot onto the block. Okay, so I'm just asking you to bring the foot a little higher. Sometimes we've actually balanced up on the block. That's not what we're doing this morning. We're going to keep the left foot in the floor, but bring that right foot up a little higher off the floor. This is really nice for those who really being in this pose is challenging without keeping the toes on the floor. And so this is just giving you an opportunity to lift that foot a little bit and maybe come a little higher. Now for some, you may not even use the block. You're going to find your way into a traditional tree pose, bringing that foot up to the shin or even to the inner thigh. So it's up to you. Where can you find your balance this morning? As the instructor, I always find it challenging to find balance and try to talk. And I know that. It's never quite as good as when I'm centered in my own practice. What are you looking at as your drishti, your gazing point? And then finding your branches, your expression of your tree. Breath is steady. And relax your tree branches. And then I'm going to simply step to the other side of the block. So now it's next to my right foot, and I'll place my left on it. And if you want to shake things out first and you do that, that's fine. And then when you're ready, we'll play with our tree on this side. So now our right leg is the trunk. Maybe the block is a really nice way to just rest the toes, but the left heel's on the calf. Or you can find your tree pose a little higher if you want to. And then from there you decide your branches and the expression of your tree. We're looking, finding a spot in front of us, somewhere that's not moving. That's our focal point. Breathe into that. Nice steady breaths. And then slowly release, placing both feet on the floor. Go ahead and remove the block off to the side somewhere. And then let's find our way to the front of our mats and to the floor with grace. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, down through center. Walk both feet back, finding down dog. And we're going to do one more balancing pose that's going to require balance to the core and the upper body. So we're going to take a look at the front of your mat and place the right hand front and center. Then bring the right knee in alignment with that hand, okay? And maybe slightly behind the hip. And then roll to that right side. So just a side arm balance, left leg is extended. Now you have some options here. You can extend the left leg hip height up off the floor so you're only balancing on the right knee. The other option is to extend the right leg out underneath you, stacking the legs. And breathe. If you have tender wrists, you can also do this from your forearm, right forearm. If you can, 3 more breaths here. And then we'll slowly release back into down dog, walk that out. Find a child's pose and release there for a moment. You might even want to bring the arms alongside of you. Just rounding the shoulders, relaxing that upper body. And then we'll come back up to down dog. And we're going to find the other side. My back's going to be to you, towards you, so I apologize. Left hand front and center. Rotate or bring that left knee down into the floor, slightly behind the hip. In alignment with that hand, rotate to that left side. Again, same options. Maybe lift that right leg. You can stay right where we began, that's fine too. Or lift the right leg. Or stack the legs underneath you. Pause and breathe here. Take 3 more breaths, wherever you're choosing to be. And then release, press back into down dog, walk that out. And take a child's pose with the option once again to wrap the arms alongside of you if you'd like. Let's go ahead and come on up and onto the belly, onto your tummy, extending out along the floor. We're going to bring our forehead into the floor and bring the arms alongside us, palms up. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is bring the shoulders up off the floor. Okay, and then from here we bring the head up off the floor, but I'm looking straight down. So I'm not lifting my head and looking up across the room. We want to keep the back of the neck extended. Engage your core, so attempt to draw the belly away from the floor. Press into the toenails, so you're pressing into the tops of your feet. Feel the kneecaps lift up off the floor. And from the upper back, begin to lift. And then from there, maybe the feet come up off the floor. Ooh, toe cramp. And then maybe the arms come up off the floor, palms face one another. And breathe. Locust pose, full locust. And you could have paused anywhere along the way. So if it felt better to keep the toes in the floor, do that. Or maybe the arms stay low. That's okay. 3 more breaths here. Back strengthening, as well as a slight back bend. After that 3rd breath, release, rotate the head to one side. You can rest your head on your hands if you want. Bend the knees, and then sway the feet side to side. Just a nice little release on the low back. And then place your palms underneath the shoulders. Bring your head back to center. We're going to do one more back bend, so you decide whether this serves you. You can come into locust again. You can simply rest. We're going to pull our palms back towards the rib cage. The shoulders are up off the floor and elbows towards the side body. As you press into the palms, you're also going to pull back. So you press down, just like we did in the low lunge with the front foot. You press down, pull back as you come up. And we're just coming halfway. We're not coming up into full cobra, just halfway. Press into the tops of the feet, tuck the tailbone, engage the core, and breathe here. A little back, a stronger back bend as well as upper body strength. Take 3 more breaths here. And after 3 breaths, lower down. Rest your head on your hands. Rotate it to one side or stay to center if you want. Bend the knees. And again, sway the feet side to side. All right, place the hands underneath the shoulders. Use your core to come up to hands and knees. Go ahead and curl the toes under. Find a down dog. Walk that out a bit. It's just a nice way to come into more of a neutral spine before we go into a child's pose. So now go ahead and bring the knees in. Release back and feel the echo of the practice. Both in your physical body, energy body, mental emotional body, wisdom body, bliss body. And let's go ahead and come on up. We're going to find a seated position, bringing the legs or extending the legs out in front of us. So Dandasana or staff pose. We're going to move into a seated forward fold. So notice if you would like a strap here, you're welcome to use a strap around the feet. I also really like to use or sit off the edge of a blanket so it helps tip my pelvis forward a little bit, supporting my low back. Always remember the option for those of you who have tighter hamstrings. This is a really challenging pose, and you can always take your, you can take pillows or a blanket, but you can also take your 2 fascia balls right underneath the knees for a soft knee bend. It lets the knees relax a little bit. So I know there's a couple of you in here not only with knee challenges, but exceptionally tight hamstrings. So that's a really nice way to modify that. And then you have the option of the strap around the ball of the feet. Legs are together, feet flexed, spine tall. Okay, notice if you feel any stretch here, this may be your pose. However you've set yourself up with the knees, this might be right where you stay. Okay, and then if you want to move a little more deeply, for those who have that available, you can take a pretty good hold of the strap, and I pull my heart up, or I lengthen my spine. Right? I use the strap to assist me to sit taller, and then pull forward from there. So I'm leading my nose to my toes, or moving my heart forward, keeping the spine extended, finding that point of my stretch that's a balance between the effort and the ease. And then drop in and hold here. And take 3 more breaths here. slowly find your way up out of the pose. Remove the strap, shake that out a little bit. And then let's find our way onto our backs again. And we're gonna do our figure 4 hip stretch. So you're welcome to place a little blanket under the head if you like that. Let's begin with our left foot on our right knee. So our left ankle on our right knee. So I'll go through all the same options. You can stay right here and press that knee away from you. You can rock side to side here, keeping that right foot in the floor. And then if you want to, you can interlace your hands behind the right thigh. And just feel that. Notice if that serves you, if that's creating balance between the ease and the effort here. And you can also rock side to side here. So is stillness what is needed right now? Is it some movement? Is a deeper stretch needed or something softer? In this moment, what creates balance for you? And then breathe into that. Accept that and breathe. Take 2 more breaths here. And then go ahead and release that. And then we're going to find a twist here. So before we move to the other side, take the left knee, just cross your legs. So the left knee is on top of the right. Open the arms wide. And then take your right foot that's in the floor and walk it to the left. You can even pick your hips up and move them to the left as well. This really creates an ease in this twist for the low back and the sacrum. And then release the knees to the right. And you can rotate your head to the left if you want. You can keep scooching that right foot over to the left side of your mat farther if you want. And find your breath. And then go ahead and slowly bring your way back, walk your way back up. Recenter the hips and the foot. Uncross the legs. Notice if it would feel good. I know it would feel good for me to just extend the legs out along the floor for a minute. And then bend the knees again. Right ankle on the left knee. Please don't assume you're going to take this in the same way as you did the other side. So begin just the same way. Be curious, right or left foot stays on the floor. Press the right knee away from you, see how that feels. Rock back and forth, see how that feels. And then if you want, maybe interlace the fingers behind the left thigh through the hole and pick the left foot up. Maybe you get there and you decide you'd rather keep the foot in the floor. Maybe you rock back and forth here. And once you decide your just right position, find your breath. Release the left foot into the floor and cross the knees. So now the right knee is crossing over the left. Open your arms wide. Scooch the hips to the right and your left foot. Just walk it to the right. And then the knees drop to the left. And then if you want to, you can rotate your head to the right. And breathe. Go ahead and bring that back up. Find center with your hips and your foot. Extend the legs. Shake that out a little bit. Wiggle it out. And bend the knees. Draw the knees into the chest. Apanasana. Inhale, arm length away, and exhale towards you. Several rounds. And then circle the knees several times in each direction. And then find your way into Shavasana, extending the legs out along the floor. Feel free to modify, use props. You can place a pillow, blanket, bolster if you have one underneath the knees. We're going to cool down significantly, so maybe a light blanket on you would feel nice. Once you've settled in, shoulders softly drop open, heart opens, palms up, and allow the feet to splay open. Take a moment to notice if there's any areas of tension that need a little extra support. A willingness to find that, to create that. Dropping in, letting go, And really just surrendering into gravity. Receive the gifts of this practice. Allow them to integrate. And rest in the sensations of those layers of your being. Bring back into your body, take a few deep breaths, wiggle some fingers and toes, stretch overhead. Slowly coming back. Slowly roll to one side, or you can stay on your back for a moment longer. I'm going to share with you a reading by Susan Freiburg. Spirituality doesn't arise from a ritual of reading from sacred text, but from simply partaking in the earthly connection we create with one another, while taking heartfelt steps towards sustaining the complexities within this living, breathing interconnectedness that is our beautiful planet home. It is not based on a cultural set of practices or rules of traditional belief placed before us, but about becoming well within ourselves, then reaching out to aid and assist others. And in doing so, we become sentient scriptures of truth at the close of each passing day. Slowly find your way into a seated position, finding your palms together at your hearts. May you be at peace. May your hearts remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed, and may you be a source of healing for all beings. Thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher this morning. Namaste.